The first Thanksgiving was held in 1621. So there were a group of Christians from England. They were called separatists, and they were persecuted by the Church of England because they believed that the Church of England was corrupt, and so they were trying to purify the church and change, kind of like the Reformation from the Catholic Church in Europe, but this was in England. So they, some of them had left England to try to find religious freedom. They went to the Netherlands, but then they decided to move to the New World, which was America. So there were a group of them that traveled on a boat called the Mayflower, and they traveled across the Atlantic Ocean and landed in Massachusetts. Now, their first winter, they arrived right at the beginning of winter, and it was very harsh. Winter in Massachusetts is very cold, lots of snow and ice, and it was a very hard winter. Almost half of the people died. There were about 100 people who came over on the Mayflower, and by the end of the winter, there was only a little over 50 people left. But there were Native Americans who lived in that area, and they were friendly, and they taught the Pilgrims how to plant crops. They taught them how to fish and hunt and how to survive. So after their first corn harvest in the fall, in November, the Pilgrims and the Native Americans came together, and they had a 3-day feast, a 3-day festival to celebrate the first harvest. So that was the first Thanksgiving, to celebrate how God had provided and protected them after a really hard year. And then Thanksgiving was not an annual thing at that point, but it was a common thing for people to call for a day of Thanksgiving to celebrate a big occasion. So after the Revolutionary War, George Washington called for a day of Thanksgiving for the Americans to celebrate the end of the Revolutionary War. And it wasn't until 1863 that Abraham Lincoln, during the Civil War, made Thanksgiving a national holiday, calling for the people in America to pray to God for those who had suffered and were suffering during the Civil War, and pray for God to heal the nation from the civil strife. And so from that point on, it became a national holiday that was celebrated every year. So it's a very, now it's always on the 4th Thursday, and it's a time when families come together, and we have a big meal with there's traditional food that we always have on Thanksgiving. We always eat turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, cranberry sauce, and then one thing for dessert we always have is pumpkin pie. So I made some pumpkin pie. It's Ugandan style, it's a little different than it would have been maybe in America, but I did the best I could. And then I brought a couple other treats. But it's a day to celebrate and give thanks to God for all of the good things that He has blessed us with. So before we eat, I'll read a psalm, and then I thought we could sing the doxology. Do you guys know that? But then while we eat, it's very traditional in my family at least, during the meal, everyone goes around and they say what they're thankful for. So we can, after I read the psalm and we sing, we can get our snacks, but then while we're eating, we'll just go around the table and everyone will share what they're thankful for. So, thank you. All right.